Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. Today we're going to talk about one of the most highly anticipated pieces of preparedness technology that many people have been waiting for the last year and a half. I finally got one in my hands. It's coming out in a month or two, so stick with me because we're going to talk about it. Okay, so before we do a deep dive on this amazing item that I've been waiting for a long time, and yeah, if you didn't know, it's a power generator, but it's a very special one that is going to change the game. We have to ask the question, how important is power in a disaster situation? I mean, after all, isn't everybody just going to revert to loincloths and steampunk, tribalistic hipsterdom? I mean, is power really that important when it comes down to Mad Max fighting for your life, scavenging for the last morsels of food? Yeah, because myself personally, the first thing I'm going for when the lights go out is my cell phone so I can Instagram about it. Just kidding. Maybe. But no, in all seriousness, you do absolutely need power for most emergencies that are short of a Mad Max. But if there was a Mad Max situation, this is my boy right here. I'm going to tell you why. Now, what do you need power for? Appliances, lighting, communications, certain medical equipment like CPAP machines, navigational devices. Okay, what about your surveillance system? You're going to want a surveillance system if it's hitting the fan. If the shizzy is hitting the fizzy and the people start purging, you're going to want the power to start surging. Do you get what I'm saying? I know that was really cringy, but that would look good on a t-shirt, wouldn't it? When the people start purging, the flex starts surging. Yeah. Inergy owes me one for that. So we've established that 99% of people are going to reach for their cell phones when it hits the fan, and they're going to realize that their batteries are almost dead, and they're going to want a power source. Not just for that, but for all the aforementioned items. Now, what is the next thing that you're looking for when you're looking for a power source for SHTF? You're looking for something that's going to be quiet and renewable. I have a dual fuel generator. Actually, I'm looking at it right now. I've had it for a couple years. Luckily, I've only had to turn it on once. I've only had to use it once because the thing is freaking loud. Okay, you can't use it indoors. You'll die. Yes, it's not good to use generators indoors if you didn't know. And the gas is going to run out. And once the gas runs out, I'm not the kind of guy who's going to be putting myself at risk going to Gas Town to meet, what's his face? The guy there from that one movie there with the hoses coming out of his face and all that. I don't want to have any part of that. That's totally not me. The great thing about lithium solar generators, and yes, I call them generators. I know you fancy boys are going to get upset because I called it a generator. It's a Jenny, okay? You're taking energy from the sun and you're generating energy from the sun, okay? I realize you're not combusting fuel in some stinky loud machine, so it's not, you know, a generator in that respect, but it's providing you electricity, all right? And it's indefinite. It's a unlimited source of power. So long as you have the recharge cycles of the battery, which can last up to 2,000 cycles, it's going to last you for a long freaking time. Probably a lot longer than any of us would actually survive a Mad Max situation. So with solar panels, lithium is the way to go. There's different types of lithium batteries, and I'm really not going to get too technical for this video, guys. The nerds over at Inergy do an exceptional job at breaking down all of the technical ins and outs of this device. And if I attempt to do it to the same extent that they do, I'm just gonna screw it up and I'm going to look like more of an idiot than I probably already look like. If you want a more detailed technical analysis of the Inergy Flex's specifications, go and check out the private link in the description section of this video. All I can tell you is that the guys who make this, okay, they're one of the few companies who do live streams with their clients, with their customers. They do live streams here on YouTube to answer questions. There is no other company that is in this space that is doing that, and that says a lot. And those Inergy guys, man, I tell you, those are the kind of nerds that you want to keep around when it hits the fan. You know, those are like the Miltons and the Eugenes. You save a little bit of extra food and clothing so you can feed and water them, because they're gonna build you some kind of crazy contraption, ray gun, catapult, trebuchet, something like that to keep all the Negans at bay after the shizzy hits the fizzy. But the real question is, why is this so important, and why Inergy? Of all the generators I've used over the years, the Inergy persists in being my go-to. If I had to leave my home for good, the one generator I would grab would be my Apex, which is the old generator here. This is still my go-to. And compared to a lot of the other generators on the market, aesthetically, it's ugly AF. I've been thinking about what's a good metaphor to describe how the Inergy systems fit into the whole hierarchy of power generators, and I figured it out. It's the Buckley's mixture of solar generators. It tastes awful, but it works. And by taste, I mean it looks awful. Compared to the other generators, it doesn't look nice at all. But that's where the magic starts, because the real expertise is on the inside. Okay, it's on what's the inside that counts. It gets the job done in ways that all of the other pretty little generators, which have their nice exteriors, don't. I've had so many problems with those other generators that are manufactured in some faraway land, and they all look great. They have nice sleek exteriors, and you know, they got the rubber and the nice molded plastic and all that stuff, but they're not reliable. And there's something about these units. They just have that industrial feel. They're simple. Of all the generators I've reviewed on this channel, if it hit the fan tomorrow, I am literally grabbing this. Does that mean that there's not things that could be improved on here? Hell no. There's a lot that could be improved. But the next thing I want to talk about is why this is so amazing. Okay, you ready for it? You ready? Let's take this off here. Let's do that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? All right, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys take care. Canadian Prepper out. Just kidding. No, let's talk about what that really entails. There's this thing called a planned obsolescence model, and it's where you buy something and within a few years it's obsolete. Okay, modular systems, the beauty of any modular system is that you can customize it and you can continue to modify it as different mods are released. So what we have here is the head unit, and we have the battery underneath. Now you can also get superchargers, you can get different head units. You can get the DC head unit, which is dedicated for DC output power. So if you're an RV person, tiny home life type person, somebody who's running a lot of DC appliances, as I'll show you, that's going to be useful for you, because typically those appliances are more high efficiency. That's why people like them. And that's why if you're on the road, DC is typically the way to go. So you can really customize your kit. And because it's modular, that means that once something new comes to the market, you don't have to dispose of your battery. That's one of the downsides of having a lithium battery system where everything is integrated, is that once something new comes along, you basically have to turf the battery, because that's the only way you can have all those new features of the new product. With this, if they ever do come out with a new, more advanced head unit, your batteries will still work, will still be compatible. And you're not going to want to dispose of those batteries because they are very expensive. So, what are some of the features of this thing that I really like? Well, one of the first things that struck me was the size of it. I actually thought it was going to be a lot bigger than the Apex. It's about the same weight. Inergy, I think they took my advice. They realized how much I don't like the look of this thing, so they put a few angles on there for me. Thanks, guys, I appreciate it. But one thing I will say about the simple design is that it's a rectangle, okay? And that's pretty cool. Okay, so let's talk about some of the specs of this thing. So 1500 watts, continuous, pure sine wave inverter, and that's 1500 continuous that you can use indefinitely until the battery is depleted. Now, you only get a 1.1 kilowatt hour battery. What does that mean? That means that if you're pulling 1500 watts off this thing, you're only going to be able to do that for about 45 minutes. But unlike the Apex, which the Inergy had limited to about 650 watts or something like that, and that was for the purpose of preserving the lifespan of the battery. And they explained it like this. They said, if you get a new car and you just bag the crap out of it all over the place, like when I went on that Tesla test drive, I was joyriding that thing. And I tell you, if I was driving it like that every day, it probably wouldn't last too long. The same thing is with batteries. If you're running them on high and you're supercharging them all the time, then they're likely going to degrade a lot faster over the time. So Inergy capped the output at 650. They haven't done that with this one. The inverter was fully capable of discharging those high amounts of power, but they just capped it. So it would run it for maybe a few minutes and then it would stop. This, you're not going to have that problem. If you have a 1500 watt power drain device, it will run it perpetually until you run out of juice. And if you want to stack more batteries so you can run it a bit longer, fine. But this is primarily for people who are on the road, tiny home, off-grid life type thing, or it does also serve a purpose for emergency situations. There's no doubt about that. But this is not a whole home solution. You're not going to be able to power your entire house at once with 1500 watts continuous. Now, I will say that 1500 watts is enough to power most things. All your basic appliances, all your main electronics, those things will be able to be powered by this, no problem. It's just you might have to do that sequentially. You might not be able to do it all at once. And the thing is, if you have much more than that, then you're going to need to have a lot of solar panels to be putting the juice back into this thing. Now, I believe that it charges at 400 watts. I put my two solar panels on it. You don't have to use Inergy solar panels. There are various adapters and whatnots to hook up other solar panels. I use two different types of solar panels, and I was getting some really, really sweet charging. I put one of the Inergy Lynx panels on this bad boy, and I was pulling 93 watts off of what I believe is a 100 watt panel, and that is really, really good. It was full sunlight, but there was a little, tint of clouds obscuring the sun. So I was really impressed by this thing's ability to suck in that juice. So you can't exceed 90 volts of power. So if you have like lots of solar panels and they're wired in what they call parallel, again, this is going to be way too technical for a lot of my new viewers. That's why I didn't want to get into this. But if you wire them in parallel, you can have basically an unlimited amount of solar panels so long as they don't exceed something like 1200 watts is the maximum that this thing can charge by. So that means you can essentially charge one battery in an hour with the supercharger add-on. Okay, so you can actually get another level to this, which is the supercharger. So if you're a person who is doing the off-grid life and you want to charge this even faster than 400 watts, which will charge the battery in about 3 hours, but if you have multiple batteries and you have a lot of high drain devices and you're running this thing at like 1,000 to 1,500 watts continuously, you're definitely going to need more solar panels, and you can do that. That's the beauty of the Flex system, is the modularity. Okay, you can customize it to your needs. You don't want the DC, then you can get this one that has the AC plugs as well. You get your two Qualcomm outputs, you get your 60 watt PDs, 5.5 millimeter by 2.5 millimeter OC outputs for base camp LEDs. So yeah, Inergy is going to release more proprietary sort of like stuff for this thing, lights and doodads and whatnots. So we got 3 buttons. This button is basically just so you can see how much juice left is in this particular battery. So if you had many batteries stacked on top of each other, you wanted to see how much power they individually had, you could check that out. Now, I'm not sure of how the batteries charge, if they charge all at the same time or in sequence. So what I mean by that is if you're charging this device and if you have 3 batteries, okay, stacked under the head unit, is it charging the batteries one by one, like this one gets fully charged, then it goes down to the next charge that one, then down to the next, or is it charging them all in tandem? So I guess that's a question that Inergy could answer in the comment section. Then this is the button for your AC power. Then you have the button for, this is your main power button, okay? So this is going to have your DC ports activated, and they took my advice and they put some end caps on there because this one didn't have that. And you know, just a safety thing. I think it's good that they have that on there. Solar panel charges in 3.5 hours, standard wall charger, 11 hours, a quick wall charger, 5 hours, and a car charger, 11 hours. One of the things I'm not a big fan of with respect to this is the latching system. So it's sturdy enough that it's gonna hold, and Inergy tells me that the final production unit, this is mostly to spec for production, but there's a few more tweaks they're gonna make, is adding some kind of magnet system to this latching system here, because it's just a little bit loose. There's a little bit of play in there, and I could imagine if you had a few of these stacked on top of each other, it might get a little wobbly and a little sketchy. I can't see myself, if I'm gonna be moving this and I have several batteries underneath, I can't see a lot of people wanting to lift it all at once. That's the joy of a modular system, especially, you know, if you're a little old lady or something like that. You know, you can't be hauling a 50-pound generator all over the place. Well, you can disassemble it and take it piece by piece. Another thing I think they could improve with this is right now it has this rectangular shape, which I think is nice, but it has this weird looking handle sticking out of the top. Now, if you're a person who's living in a tiny home or an RV or a van or a truck, then space is at a premium, okay? And so I think if they could somehow make this so it was flat on top, like make this handle depress and, you know, be hidden, so when you actually need it, you could pull it out. I think that would be neat. Mind you, they would probably advise against putting stuff on top of here because of the overheating issue. There is many cooling fans on each of the individual batteries and the head unit. And it might also be nice that on the bottom, as you can see, there is no base plate that came with this. So you get these kind of sharp edges on the bottom here, and it would be nice if there was just some sort of plate that sat underneath it. Now, if you wanted to connect other batteries, this is where you do it. You take this plastic piece off. So that does protect that terminal. But like I say, I think it would be nice if there was some rubber on the bottom. Actually, you know what? What the hell is this? What the hell is this, man? My God. Goodness gracious me. I think that's what this is here. I think I just found the rubber feet for this thing. Looks like I lost a few. So it would be nice if those stuck on there a little better. Let's just say that. I think that's another thing that could be improved with this. Like I say, it's the Buckley's mixture of power generators. It's ugly as crap, but it's the best generator. I'm telling you guys, it's the absolute best. It's what I'd be grabbing if the shizzy hit the fizzy. And I just love the fact that you can expand out your power so easily. All right, so you guys want to probably see some demos. I seen a guy on YouTube use this heat gun machine. Here, heat gun machine, you plug it in like that. Turn her on. Now we're gonna see, I don't know if you can see the actual output there. I guess you have to take my word for it. Okay, we're gonna turn the heat gun on. Put it away from the microphone. Right now, we're pulling 59 watts. That's on the lowest setting of the heat gun. We're gonna turn it up again. Okay, now we are pulling 949 watts. That's when the fans kick on. So this is as loud as it's gonna get. I'm gonna turn this off for a second so you can hear how loud it is. That's as loud as it's gonna get. That's pulling 1,000 watts. If you've ever heard a generator is in the 120 decibel plus range. This, you're barely gonna hear it from across the room. Okay, so we're at pretty much 1,000 watts again. Okay, now we're gonna kick it into overdrive. All right, now we're pulling 1,950 watts. 1950, let's see how long it can hold that. So remember, this has a 3,000 watt surge 1800. I better not burn the last of my hair with this heat gun. Still pulling 1800 watts. Again, I wouldn't advise you to do this. It's probably going to void your warranty if you're pushing it this hard all the time. Not going to be good for the battery. Still pulling 1900 watts. Look how hot that is. It is really humming now. Okay, now you might be able to hear it downstairs over the kids going crazy. 1900 watts. I hope it doesn't explode on me. I want to live to see the shizzy hit the fizzy. Blowing out air. Still 1900 watts. It's still pumping it out. Still at 1900 watts. Yeah, I'm getting bored. I don't want to do this anymore. But as you can see, it's still cranking out 1900 watts. So the people spoke. The people demanded that they have the ability to completely reduce the lifespan of their batteries, and Inergy provided you that option. So now you are free to do that. But they wouldn't recommend doing that. For starters, you got a 1 kilowatt hour battery. This thing is still talking to me. So, are you done? You only got a 1 kilowatt hour battery, guys. So like I say, you're not trying to run major appliances and power tools on this thing. Would not advise. But I will say, I know what you guys think I'm BSing you, but really, if it hit the fan today, the one generator I would always grab would be the Apex. Now it will be the Flex, just because I know that it's gonna work. Now, this is not a power wall, okay? This is not, like I said, a whole home solution. If you're getting onto that level, you're moving into the $10,000 range, okay? This is something, I'm not gonna say it's affordable, because you need to have a little bit of change put away. And there are some pre-sale incentives. You can save a bit of money. I would encourage you to do that. This is a system that you're going to be able to customize and upgrade and not just throw away. You may have a component of it that you don't need anymore, so you switch it out for another one. You can do that. I just think it's an excellent platform. As you guys know, I run a store, CanadianPreparedness.com. I do sell a couple generators. There's one major brand of generators I'm just not gonna sell anymore after this, because in my opinion, these pretty much make that not obsolete, but it really is hard for that to stay relevant. But there are a couple small ones I do sell, like the Nightcore and the Zendure. Those are ones I sell because they're smaller. They don't deliver as much power, but they're great for day trips or just, short-term emergencies, or even for people who are on a little bit of a tighter budget. I'll post links to those in the description too. If you want to pick one of these up, go and use the coupon code in the description below. I don't doubt that it's going to be with you for a long time. Oh, and there is a 10-year warranty. 10-year warranty on the battery. There's a bit of fine print with that. You can go and check it out on the website, but you get a 10-year warranty on the battery if you do the pre-sale. Anyways, let's cut this video out. Check out the links in the description. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section. I may ignore most of them, but I'll try to get to some of them, and hopefully Inergy pops in to answer the technical stuff. And look, hey, get an Inergy Flex, feed a nerd, because we're gonna need the nerds in the apocalypse, guys. We're gonna need them to rebuild civilization after it all goes down, and it's gonna happen. Thanks for watching, guys. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com. The best quality products at the best prices. Use discount code SURVIVALPREPPER, all caps, all one word, for 10% off. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.